is on the board? You don't have to write I plus am, we plus are. You can if you want to, and write it like a math problem, or you can just write the answer. What would the contraction be if you put those two together? Some of these you might not write a lot, but think of how you would say it. Like for example, number 3. I've had 2 people already ask me about that. If I could say, you would be really nice if you would buy me a piece of pizza. But do we typically say, you would be really nice? You'd. That's normally how we say it. We kind of mash the 2 words together, and it makes a contraction. You just say you'd. That might not be something you typically write as a contraction, but how would you write that if you would say you? And we'll go over all the answers so you'll have the right ones. But just think in your head, if it's one that's a little tricky to you that you're not used to using a lot, how would you say that? How would you say those 2 words put together? Every single one of these will have an apostrophe because you're making it a contraction. everybody's got this done. I only saw a couple that still have one left, but we need to move on. So somebody raise your hand and tell me, for number one, what's the contraction for I am, Linda? So how would I write that? Good. I apostrophe N. Dylan, we are. We're. And how do you?
W-E-apostrophe-R-E.
Good. You would. Adrian? You. So how would I? Good. She will. I had several people ask me about this one. Jessica. She'll. And how do I spell it?
S-H-E-apostrophe-L-L.
Good. They are. Aaron?
Oh, okay.
Okay. So how would I spell it? Good. And that one's one of those tricky ones that a lot of times when you all write, instead of putting there like this, you might put T-H-E-R-E or T-H-E-I-R. It's one of those tricky ones. But if in the sentence you could say they are, it's always going to be this there. Okay, number 6, Calista. I'll. Okay, so how do you? L. Yep. Okay, you have. Jim. You. So how would I put it? Apostrophe E. Good. He had somebody that had to answer. Last night. He. So how would I put that? Good. It is, Jacob. It's. And how would I write it?
I-T apostrophe.
Good. And they will, O'Shea.
T-H-E-Y-apostrophe-L-L.
Good. They'll. Good. Okay. Make sure you have all of the correct ones written down. If you got it wrong, just mark out what you had and put the correct one on there. Okay? And then put these back in your folder. Aaron and Fatima are going to pass out notes that are going to go along with our PowerPoint. We just started our grammar unit yesterday. Well, we briefly talked about subject-verb agreement at the end of yesterday, but we finished fragments and run-ons. And this is all because of the last paper we turned in. There were several things that I saw, so I wanted to do a brief grammar unit since we just got done with reading and we did a paper. So this is another thing that I saw several issues with. Okay, so the organizer that they just passed out, it will go word for word with the slides that are up here. So all you're looking for, there's blanks on there, and you're filling in the blanks. The last slide has a video that has to do with subject-verb agreement that you will watch. It's only 4 minutes long, and there are a few more new rules that I have on the board that you'll write down, but don't do that yet. That's going to be at the end. And then there's a slide at the end that has 6 practice questions on it that we'll do together. And then you'll have independent practice on a page in the book. So we're going to take notes, talk about it, do a few together, and then you're going to practice some on your own. And then I can see where you are and how you deal with this topic. Okay. So, subject-verb agreement. The first rule is pretty simple. If you've got a singular subject, you're going to have a singular verb. If you have a plural subject, you're going to have a plural verb. So if you look at the first bullet point, It just goes over, both nouns and verbs have singular and plural forms. What's it mean if it's a singular form of a noun, Leon?
It's one.
There's just one. Dog. That would be singular. Cat. Good. What does it mean if you have a plural noun?
I think there's more than one.
Good. Raise your hand, but good. You're okay. So there's more than one. What's an example of one, Jacob?
Cats.
Cats. Okay. Good. Now what's tricky is typically with a noun, when it's going to be plural, there's an S at the end or an ES. Like leaf or leaves is plural and it has an ES at the end. Verbs are opposite than that. So, for example, if we said the dog runs, dog is singular and runs is singular, even though it has an S at the end. So that's a little tricky. The verbs are opposite. Not all the times do they have S on the end, but a lot of the times you would think runs would be plural verb because it has an S, but it's not. So the dog runs. It's a singular noun and it's a singular verb. Now if I said the dogs run, dogs is plural, there's two of them, and then run is actually the plural form of the verb. So the dog runs, or the dogs run. Okay. So the subject of the sentence and the verb must agree. That's your second note. The subject is singular, you use the singular form of the verb. And if the subject is plural, you use the plural form of the verb.